They've installed these large fences really surrounding all of Capitol Hill, creating what amounts to a green zone in the middle of the nation's capital. This misinformation, disinformation that continues to spread, and the president is perpetuating in his own comments there, is adding fuel to the flame of what's going on right now in front of the Capitol building. But let's just start with the historic nature of this campaign. You had one candidate that for a period of time wasn't even on the campaign trail, that being the man who is declaring victory tonight. Mike Bloomberg spent big in this state. We are talking $7.3 million spent on ad buys. We're talking television, digital, etc. And right now, 9.4%. Why is that an important figure, Tim? Because 15% is the amount you need statewide to start getting statewide delegates. The president announced on Twitter that he is going to be leaving Walter Reed, heading back to the White House this evening around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Saying in that tweet, don't be afraid of COVID, don't let it dominate your life. Just to kind of orient you as to where we are, behind me is the Capitol building. They are heading in the direction of the White House, which of course has been ground zero for the protests here in Washington over the past week. Could that flexibility include moving events elsewhere if the case counts continue to rise in Florida, even possibly back to Charlotte if the cases stabilize there? Explain to me why you shouldn't hear what he has to say if he says there's information.
Explain to me why they didn't go through the process of subpoenaing him. The
Biden campaign long calling South Carolina its firewall. A lot of its hope has rested with the African-American voting bloc. They make up over half of the electorate when it comes to the Democratic primary here. This is not the first time a North Carolina state gobbler has been spared the oven courtesy of the President of the United States. The last time was back in 2009. This tradition of pardoning turkeys, by the way, dates back to the George H.W. Bush era. She told me that the attack to her was not necessarily surprising, although, of course, it was certainly shocking. She places the blame for yesterday's events at the feet of President Donald Trump, and now she is joining with other Democrats on Capitol Hill, including several from North Carolina, in calling for his immediate removal.
They told us that the Capitol had been breached.
A day unlike any other. Representative Kathy Manning was inside the House chamber with some of her fellow lawmakers when the rioters first stormed the Capitol building. The freshman congresswoman, just days into her new job, remembers ducking in the House galleries before eventually being evacuated from the chamber.
The only moment that I did feel my heartbeat faster was when we were lying on the floor and they told us to take our member pins off. That was unnerving.
Those pins help identify them as elected members of Congress. The violence left damage throughout the Capitol building. 4 died in connection to the day's events. In statements, North Carolina Democrats and Republicans alike called for calm, condemning the attacks perpetrated by supporters of President Donald Trump. That includes Republicans who objected to the election results as part of the Electoral College vote count. Congressman Ted Budd writing, "The mob violence I witnessed at the Capitol on January 6th was not representative of our country, and I condemn it in the strongest possible terms." However, some Democrats argue too little, too late, saying that by perpetuating the president's unfounded claims about the election, those Republicans did nothing to prevent what happened yesterday.
And they were just really supporting all of these conspiracies and that kind of thing. I think that added to the situation, and it certainly didn't help it.
North Carolina Democrats on Capitol Hill are now calling for members of the Trump administration to invoke the 25th Amendment, removing him from office. Some going a step further, putting impeachment on the table as well.
He has proven to be a danger to this country, a danger to duly elected officials. He instructed that mob to go to the Capitol yesterday.
Of course, it's not just Democrats that are blaming the president. Some Republicans pointing the finger at him as well, including Senator Richard Burr from North Carolina, saying in a statement that Trump bears responsibility by promoting the unfounded conspiracy theories.
Kevin Frey joins us now live from Delaware. Kevin, good to see you. We know that Joe Biden has been out campaigning up to the last minute today.
Yeah, busy day. Despite the fact it's election day, they were not leaving any cards on the table. All 4 of the key players within Biden land, both the 2 candidates and then, of course, their spouses, hitting the trail, trying to mobilize voters. They weren't necessarily going to flip anyone today, but they certainly could try to drive some folks to actually head to the polls, going to places like North Carolina, Michigan, and, of course, Pennsylvania. Now, the key player in all of this, I don't need to say it, is, of course, Joe Biden. And he spent the morning going to church here in Delaware before heading to his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania. He visited his childhood home. Then he went to Philadelphia, trying to drive up the vote there. Philadelphia, of course, a Democratic stronghold in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and so that if they can drive up the votes there, perhaps they can win Pennsylvania. Biden himself has indicated that Pennsylvania is one of those key states where if they are able to win it, if he's able to carry the night there, he can block one of the main avenues for President Donald Trump in his quest to keep the White House. Now, throughout the course of this campaign, Biden has repeatedly hit on this quest to protect the soul of the nation, as he has in recent days on the campaign trail. Take a listen.
We're about honor, integrity, dignity. This is the United States of America. We've got to let them show who we are. We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. And yeah, we choose truth over lies, constant lies.
Now, back here in Wilmington, our understanding from the Biden campaign is that he is going to, quote, address the nation tonight. But the big question, of course, is going to be what that address may look like. A victory speech, a concession speech, or none of the above. One thing we do know tonight is, much like he has on the campaign trail, lots of COVID-19 restrictions here. We are spread out across a parking lot, no indoor venue this evening.
Are you still confident that the post office will be able to handle this at this point?
Oh, I think they will if these restrictions are not put on them.
New concerns from lawmakers on Capitol Hill amid multiple reports that cost-cutting operational changes at the U.S. Postal Service are sparking a mail backlog. The news coming as many Americans are looking to vote by mail this November. Charlotte area Democratic Representative Alma Adams helped lead this letter to congressional leaders, writing the potential for votes to go uncounted or for their delivery to be delayed threatens the integrity of the upcoming election.
If people can't get out to vote safely, then we have to rely on the post office. And I think we need to make sure that we safeguard the post office ability to get the mail delivered.
The letter comes as President Donald Trump is offering mixed messages about mail-in voting, raising unsubstantiated claims about widespread voter fraud, while at the same time encouraging people in Florida, a battleground state this fall, to vote by mail. He also has questioned whether the Postal Service is capable of handling a surge in ballots.
The post office for many, many years has been, run in a fashion that hasn't been great. I don't think the post office is prepared for a thing like this.
In an email, a spokesman for the Postal Service said they remain committed to delivering election mail in a timely manner consistent with our operational standards. A top Republican donor, Louis DeJoy, recently took over the role of Postmaster General. Citing years of financial losses at the Postal Service, he has called for the organization to operate efficiently and effectively. A spokesman for the North Carolina State Board of Elections tells me they're recommending voters put their ballot in the mail a week before Election Day at the latest. That said, a ballot will still count in North Carolina provided it is postmarked on or before Election Day and arrives no later than 3 days after the election.
Each of these is full of tobacco now.
When we first visited Nash County farmer Jeff Tyson in 2019, he was just hoping to break even.
Last year was very tough.
The international trade fights, including one with China, added to that anxiety, effectively cutting off a key tobacco market. Fast forward a year, several new trade agreements are now in place, including a Phase 1 deal with China and a rewrite of NAFTA. But while that may add market stability, Tyson remains somewhat skeptical. Reports earlier this year showed China lagging behind on its commitments to purchase U.S. goods, including agricultural products.
It seems that China kind of ignored all the trade stuff there for a little while.
Tyson says farming in general can be a financial roller coaster from year to year. But 2020 brought a new headache, the pandemic. As COVID-related shutdowns slowed sectors of the economy to a halt, it had ripple effects.
Some of the processing products, like for us, would be sweet potatoes that are made into French fries or go into canners that would, go to restaurants. That market is pretty much non-existent right now.
Tyson's story is not unique. David Grant grows cotton and other crops in Northampton County. He likewise is wary of whether China will hold up its end of the bargain when it comes to trade. He also says the dramatic drop in clothing sales amid the pandemic could hurt his bottom line.
We lost almost all of the summer retail business, and then there was almost no back-to-school buying of clothes.
With Election Day just around the corner, a recent survey by the organization Farm Futures shows most farmers want to see Trump reelected. In the survey, conducted in late July, 75% of farmers said they would support Trump if the election were held that day. That's up from roughly 67% in 2019. Tyson is among those backing the president. He stood by Trump during the trade fight, telling me last year that he believes the president should have the chance to finish what he started. He says he trusts Trump on the economy over Democrat Joe Biden.
I think he has made strides to give freedom back, make you more responsible for yourself, and give you that opportunity to reach for the American dream without stumbling over a bunch of regulations.
Grant, meanwhile, says he's not sure who he'll vote for. After picking Trump in 2016, he was undecided last year and says he still is now, preferring Trump on the economy while liking Biden's demeanor. In short, he's stuck.
Do you vote with your pocketbook or do you vote with your conscience?
Kevin Frey, Spectrum News 1.